I'll be taking a look at that, running the numbers on that as well this week. And circling back to Faye as part of kind of accountability. Another recommendation that Faye made also was to, reach out to everybody that's in my phone and just really make them aware of what I'm doing. And as a result, that's how I got the lead on the Wytheville property in Virginia.
Okay. What I'm not familiar with there. What part of Virginia is
So
that?
that's it's close to are you familiar with Roanoke, Virginia?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's close to that area.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we go through there all the time off 81, traveling south.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not that familiar with it either, but
Okay.
if the numbers make sense, right?
Right. Yep. Yep. Definitely put the team together.
Yeah. And I'm reading a book called If You Don't Know How to Wholesale After This, I Can't Do Anything for You. So I started reading that as well.
Okay. Yeah, the big thing with wholesaling is really the is is the marketing to get the lead flow. Uh, and just figuring out how you're going to reach those motivated sellers and the consistency with the marketing is
Mm-hmm.
going to be the big, I would say, discriminator for those that do it at a high level. That it takes the marketing and to being able to find the deals and get them under contract at a big enough discount where you can mark it up and get your fee
Mm-hmm.
for the investors to come in.
Yeah.
What do you think is in regards to the end game or your ultimate goal that you want to build to?
So I think my ultimate goal initially is really the to gain the capital so that I can make, invest in larger commercial deals. Um,
Okay.
I think that's the ultimate goal. And then also we are, and I can certainly talk to you about this offline. We're really thinking about or moving forward with potentially selling our home here. Because there's nothing that now that both
Okay.
of our kids are in college. There's nothing that really ties us to this area right now because I'll have one kid in Cincinnati, one kid in Maryland, and so that will also give us access to quite a bit of capital as well, and then to really hone in on our strategy with multifamily.
Okay. No, I love it. I love it. I think that it's a great opportunity. I think that's the biggest thing is looking at across the board, all the resources you have at your disposal and figuring out, hey, what's the next chess move to make that works for you and and the strategy and everything that you guys are implementing. So
Yeah. So really probably within the next 6 months to the year to within the year, we want to have this property sold.
okay. No, awesome. And I think it's still a good time. Right now, I think we're still shifting towards more of a buyer's market. I guess as you look at the entire US, but not necessarily individual areas. You still have to focus on your individual area to see days on market, the level of activity compared pre-COVID, man, year over year, just see kind of how we're trending. Prices still haven't dropped, at least in what I've been tracking, a
Hmm.
heck of a lot. We're still seeing some low single digit appreciation year over year. So, but buyers are taking more time, and it is taking looking nationwide on a national scale. It's taking a little bit longer for homes to sell, but people are still buying.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, in our area, we're in a townhome development. They do not stay on the market longer than 60 days in this community. That's what we've seen recently. So,
Yep, no, for sure, for sure.
yeah.
And we'll see what happens with the tariffs. That they're on,
Oh,
they're off, they're on,
yeah,
they're
I
off. So
know.
it's it's slowing down a lot of investment activity on the I think on the commercial side, but then also on the residential side too.
Mm,
The impact that it's having on rates and
yeah.
everything going forward. That a lot of people are just on the sidelines and
Hmm.
just trying to wait and see, taking a wait and see approach to what their next move would be. So
Yeah.
Awesome. Got Dr. Joel and we got Chris with us. How you guys doing this morning? Any updates on anything?
Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone? Good.
Doing good, doing good.
Good. Good. Good. Good.
Yeah, getting
Yeah,
back in the
I
swing of things.
I was supposed to be closed on my third sub two 2 weeks ago, really, and got a buyer who has an agent involved, and she's really slowing down things. Um,
Mm,
and got an inspection report that came in on the day before closing last week, and a couple of things on there that we've already really repaired. It's just seeing residual from before repair stains and stuff. Um,
okay.
so having to get a couple of things rechecked. Hopefully we can get that closed this week. And I was closing with one of my local partners here yesterday as his trustee. We always close in land trust, and he his notary is also an agent. And during the conversation, realized that she's representing the foreclosure that we both looked at a couple of weeks ago, and
Mm,
she pulled me aside for a private conversation right after closing, and asked me if I still wanted to buy it, and I was like, sure, and told me that I really I couldn't contact the seller because she's incarcerated. so,
mm,
so I got a incarcerated seller with a foreclosure, pre-foreclosure with a 2.7% interest rate. So, and it's upside down in the house. Uh, so I told her, this is just what we specialize in. So we're supposed to go look at that today and see if we can
okay.
come up with some type of creative deal to see if we can help rescue them from that. So excited about that. And still got a $500,000 house down in Cecil. I'm not sure you know where Cecil is. It's off of
Mm-mm.
110 going towards Macon County. Guy's got a $110,000 mortgage on a $500,000 house that he's behind in foreclosure on. We got the foreclosure halted, but we're trying to get some type of loss mitigation from the bank. Still waiting to hear from them to see if we can be able to get
Hmm.
some type of loss mitigation. Not if he can't pick up and make up his payments. We're gonna see if we can get some type of offer on it and let him sell it to us using some type of creative financing strategy or just assigning it, getting it assigning as a wholesale. But it's got a lot of equity in it. He paid a lot of cash for it. He got some type of big settlement. He was in an accident, so
Okay.
he got a small note on the big house that's in foreclosure. So another prime suspect.
Yeah, yeah, no, there's definitely opportunities abound. And I think that's the big thing now with focusing on what's being given to you because like the pre-foreclosures are starting to tick up. Being able to leverage those subject to and I think in a high interest rate environment, those who have the creativity are those that's going to be able to command the deals. And I think, like you said, coming in on your third sale too this year, and there's a there's a plethora of foreclosures popping up a lot of places. Maybe not in some of the I say blue states where the process is a lot slower for foreclosure, but for the red states, Florida, Alabama, and in other states that we're seeing the activity. So there's definitely opportunities out here. And the thing is, you only need one deal at a time. Get going on one deal versus trying to take down multiple deals simultaneously. Like focus on one area where you can push through and get that first deal done. And after that, continue to build momentum after that and keep going. But I think some of those strategies, the big thing that I always like to tell new investors is focus on a niche. Find your niche, find you one or two markets, one or two focus areas, and stay true to it, be consistent, uh, and drive in and get the work done and continue to do the things that you guys are doing, having conversations, going to local meetups, having the time set aside to hone your trade craft with your marketing, understanding the different processes that go into pre-foreclosure, and talking networking with attorneys. Like all of that has to happen. But if you don't have a strategy to key in on, you'll feel overwhelmed. you'll be confused because you don't know what your next step is. You don't have a baseline or a roadmap to get you to your end game where you're trying to be long term. And so if without having that, it's going to get frustrating, and statistics are going to say you're going to quit because most of the people aren't successful because a lot of times they don't have a strategy, they don't have an approach, they don't have a plan, they don't have clarity around why they're doing what they're doing and what their end game is. So I encourage you guys to definitely keep going, keep pushing, keep going that, and you'll be in a position like Dr. Joe, where you got multiple deals coming to you, you got different ways that you can put the deal together and multiple exit strategies where you win in each scenario. So good stuff.
Yeah, I want you to know too. I walked your complex last Saturday night. Your 96 units here in Montgomery for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that text message Sunday morning, so I was glad she was able to find. So Dr. Joe's daughter lost her dog, and he had asked me, unfortunately, and that's something we need to work on. I think now, going once we finish up all the renovations, getting like a apartment Facebook group for the community. But she stays across the street from where the property is, and so I know she was relieved to find her dog,
Yeah,
and hopefully the grounds were all clean with a whole lot of trash,
they
nothing
look
going
bad.
on. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, talking
Chris.
to, good morning, good morning.
Hey,
Uh,
Chris.
Talking about, the uptick in pre-foreclosures. We put in 2 LOIs last week with two homeowners. And, I have to say, homeowners they're still like a bit delusional. They still think that they're gonna get pricing from 2, 3 years ago, and they're
Mm,
not budging. And I sat down with them, looking at comps from the past, looking at current comps of what's selling, and I'm like, just the numbers are just not there. It's not my opinion, these are real facts. And you sit down with them and you educate them, and you try to come to a deal. Like, I try to come to a deal with at least one out of those two. I was like, well, at least one has to drop, at least one has to, sign. And we put the LOIs out there, and we haven't closed yet, or I'm sorry, we haven't signed a purchase and sale yet because they're still a little delusional. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for people to really kind of grasp the notion that Florida is on a downtick. I mean, there's cities here that are not just 3%. We're talking 8, 9% in certain areas, especially the outlying areas, right? That are not downtown Tampa or downtown Orlando. Those kind of further out rural kind of extension areas. And yeah, yeah, trying to educate folks right now on what the realistic value of what their houses are with the market. Trust me, it's not an easy conversation to have, right? So we're pushing trying to close something. I need something. So
yeah, no, and I was gonna have a conversation too, you and I, on some strategies that I'm thinking there in Florida, um, that niche list that you can focus on too, that can drive some potential motivated leads. But yeah, I think it's always been that way when it comes to foreclosure, that people wait, drag it out to the last minute, a little bit delusional, if you will, on how things will end and play out. And and all you can do is provide that and go through the process. But I think really, those open-ended questions and turning it around on them on what they want the end game to be, and how do they think that process would happen, and do they think, and to get them to say out loud, do they think it's realistic, where everything is at right now? Because a lot of times people, they won't be honest with themselves on just where reality is, unfortunately. But that's the thing. The money's in the follow up. That very rarely, meeting a person in a couple, two or three conversations, and you sharing that with them, that they're going to be to make the decision. So I encourage you, definitely follow up with them. depending on if they have a court date, some may be, have that cliff coming up sooner rather than later. But being able to just stay on them and follow up and know to follow up, because that's where it's going to be at, and just continue to build that rapport. And as long as you're leading with value, and even giving them maybe a weekly update on the market or monthly update if they got a little bit more time, and just looking at different ways that you can add value to them, will kind of bring the sale. So it may not be directly, hey, this is me, what I can do to buy a house, but it may be from another vantage point, that how you can serve them, that ultimately will build a confidence and eventually, land a deal with you long term. So
Yeah. Yeah, there's one homeowner, the gentleman, he told me flat out 2 days ago. He goes, if it comes to the point where they come for my house, I'm not moving. And I go, well, physically, you're not going to get out of your chair. Like, what do you mean by that? And he goes, I'm not moving, Chris. They're going to have to pick me up and take me out. And I go, well, it doesn't have to come to that. If you want to stay in your home, there are other options. So I explained to him, the loss mitigation process, and I go, that's something that we can potentially look at with the bank, and put the bank on notice on what we're doing. And he doesn't have any money to kind of even start that process, so he's kind of between a rock and a hard place. And so he knows it's coming, because he has what, 12, 13 days left,
oh wow,
and
that's soon.
so yeah. And I've told him, I go, hey, I've been through foreclosure. I know what's up. I know the sheriff's coming to knock on your door. You got 45 minutes to an hour to get your stuff out of the house. They don't care. So you better be
Yeah.
packed on the 24th, ready to go. If that's right, if that's the decision you're going to make, you just have to be realistic, because they are coming for your house. And I'm just here to help you out. So I think it's asking the right questions, and getting them to realize what's coming, and for them to be realistic with themselves. So I'm going to keep following up with him, and with the other homeowner too. But yeah. Oh, I'm locked out, by the way, on 1Password.
Okay.
I went in and I created the account, but I was on my phone instead of at home, and I never created the secondary password. There's a secondary code or key code that you're supposed to do. And when I saw
Okay.
that, I said, nope, let me wait till I get home. And then I got home, and it's like, well, where's your key code? And I'm like, oh man, I should have I should have created it on the
Gotcha.
spot. So, and I've tried to get myself out of that. I've tried to unlock myself by going through the prompts and the information, that it gives you. But for some reason, it says that I have to reach out to the administrator to unlock me.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'll get that knocked out this morning.
I apologize for that.
Yeah, no worries there at all.
Yeah, I
You get
also
that.
add, Chris, on some of your sellers that you say are unrealistic for their expectations. And you know this, you need to remind them where they are and what's going to happen, like you're doing, but also remind them what you are doing for them. Like this seller yesterday, the agent is really more the agent, because like I said, the seller's incarcerated, but she was speaking on behalf of the seller. This house is probably, the note has not been paid in 15 months, and she's probably $25,000 in arrears. And she's asking if we can get a seller some money. And I was like, well, how much money? She said, well, $30,000. And of course, I would, when she did that, you're already 25,000 in arrears, and you want 30,000. I said, well, that's probably unlikely to happen. I said, well, I'll tell you what are y'all looking to get? And she named her price. I said, well, if you tell me your price and I give you your price, I'll name my terms. So what I'm going to do is, of course, I'm not going to give her that much. I'll probably knock the seller down to about 15,000 that we'll give her. But even that, I said, well, I'll give her 5,000 at close. That's what does she need the money for? I said, well, she's going to need money put on her books. I said, oh, how about a monthly income? Would that be of help? And she said, probably. So what I'll do is probably give her 5,000 at closing, and then give her $250 a month for the next 40 months, which would be another $10,000. So we'll give her a total of $15,000. But that's only $250 a month in addition to a $1,200 a month mortgage. That's on the note, so that's a lot more doable. Instead of bringing her $15,000 at closing, as well as paying some of the other stuff and catching up the arrears. Hopefully, we'll get some type of concession from the bank where we can put the arrears on the back end or payment supplement plan, something like that, and that'll help unload the burden. Plus, it's a little more attractive because I'll pass that on to my buyer if we don't keep it ourselves at that 2.7% rate. Then we'll wholesale it to a buyer and get enough, for that. Tell the buyer, look, you've got this $1,200 a month mortgage, plus you've got a $250 payment to this person here for the first 40 months, which is still only $1,450 a month, which is a good note on a 3-2 house, valued almost $300,000. And I've got buyers that buy homes for group homes, and they're cash flowing these things like crazy. And these guys are getting, $5,000 to $10,000 a month income on these houses that they're buying. And they tell them we need more. So got a good group of buyers here for the house that we get. And if we don't decide to keep them ourselves at a rate like 2.7, my partner said, well, this one we might need to keep ourselves.
Yeah, I was gonna say that amortization. You add 2-3 points on it. Oh, come on.
2-3.
You're gonna
Man,
keep that one,
I'm
Joel.
closing on one. I'm closing on one that's I got at 2.2, and it's gonna be like 9.89% when we close on it. So more than 2 or 3.
I love it.
Nice.
But my point was, those you can give people more of what they ask for if they let you have the terms that you want, and you create terms that are favorable to you. Like Gene teaches, take some now and then some later over time. Right. And the particular house that I'm talking about closing on, I did the same thing. I gave the seller some of her equity. I gave her, I think, $6,000 down out of $23,000 equity payment. I'm gonna pay her the rest over 48 months when I put a tenant buyer in there. So my payments won't even start till I put a tenant buyer in there and pay her equity off over time. Oh, yeah. So you can give more people what they think they want, but again, show them the cost that you're putting in. Because I'm a reminder, like we're already paying $25,000 on your behind for the arrears, even if we get a concession from the bank, we want to pay that right now. But that is something that's going to be paid on her behalf. So now we're talking about we're paying $40,000 for you, and you ask for 30, we're actually paying 40.
Yeah.
That's a great point. That is awesome. Jonathan, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. Just listening to what y'all saying. Just trying to learn from y'all.
Awesome. We'll let you introduce yourself to the morning crew this morning, and let us know any challenges, anything, any wins to celebrate, anything that the group can help with, or any topics.
I've been here on a few calls. Like I said, I'm retired, military, just last year retired, just looking to get into the industry and create some passive income and create generational wealth. So just looking to get my feet wet into the game and just understand it more.
Most definitely. Welcome, man, and salute to you, man. Congrats on retirement.
Same to you.
Yeah, thank you. And doing, you're definitely in the right place. Do you have a kind of an idea of where you want to focus or a niche that you want to focus in on?
Small multifamily homes right now, maybe quadruplex or triplex. Okay. So just looking to get in there and just keep building from there, get a multiple of those. But just looking to get started and learning on how to fund it and properly structure it.
No, for sure. Yeah, I think the big one, and I know we've had opportunity to chat and kind of going through that. It's really once you identify the area that you want to get into, is really one. And it's really two primary ways to market. Either you're gonna do it yourself and go direct to owner with your marketing, or you're going to have brokers kind of going off on your behalf, that you're networking with agents that are kind of doing the same thing. They're doing marketing in order to get listings. And so they can get those pocket listings. So it's just kind of figuring out, if you want to have a network of realtors that know your buy box for the small multifamily that you're looking for, or, you built your own marketing list where you're marketing consistently directly to the owners. I think for you, I think that's probably the next step is saying, okay, how am I going to get this deal? Where is it at, and how am I going to find it? And it's really understand if you want to set up your own marketing, or you want to start networking with agents where they're out marketing, they know what you're looking for. So when they see a deal that kind of meets your buying criteria, that they'll bring it to you that way. So I think that's really the kind of the next action step is kind of saying, hey, do I want to set aside some capital, each month where I may be spending a couple $100s a month, sending direct mail, postcards, cold calling, or you can also do some networking, getting out, and networking with other wholesalers that may have deals, or local real estate investor meetups. That just getting I think those are always great to get a pulse for the market and what's going on, with being able to get out face to face with those people that are doing deals on a routine basis in your market. Uh, that would be my feedback to you, kind of to get off the sidelines and kind of get going to tackle down that first deal. Is really get clarity around the marketing piece, what you think fits your lane with, hey, comfortable talking with brokers and getting out there and letting them know what you're buying, or going and saying, hey, I'm gonna set up my own marketing where I'm gonna find all the 3 or 4 units in these certain zip codes, and I'm gonna send a postcard every other month. I'm gonna maybe put a letter out to them in between. I'm gonna get phone numbers and maybe cold call them. Or some you may drive them, see them, like, hey, some of them that may be dilapidated, you may take a couple pictures, send them a direct certified mail, just where, like, hey, this property is dilapidated. Hey, it's a problem. Do you want me to take it off your hands, or anything? When being creative with the marketing.
Go probably more towards the networking. That way,
Okay.
they know the market more, and they can probably help me learn better versus trying to do it myself. So
Okay. Yeah. No. And the good ones do know the market. I'll tell you, a lot of realtors don't. I think it's what I forgot what the number is, but I think it's like 10%. Well, I think it's more like 20%. I heard that realtors that do most of the transactions in the markets, where it's not a lot. But you want to make sure you get one that understands investors and what it is that you're looking for. But 100% to have somebody with MLS access that's looking, that's full, I would say full time, mostly works well. But yeah, as many people as you can let know what it is that you're looking for, networking wholesalers as well as brokers. That's getting the deal flow. That's going to help you get access to those deals. And then the next piece is putting the funding in place and how you're going to get the deal finance put together
right.
is the next aspect. And we just had a great meeting. That was last Friday with Mitch, that talked about, he has, for our REI Genius community, has a group of private lenders ready to lend on deals for first time buyers as well too. So that's one of the things with being able to have a resource that has private lenders, or go find your own private lenders, is going to just pay dividends deal after deal once you get in. So. But yeah, I would encourage you to, one, find all the 3 or 4 units that's on the market in the area that you're concerned about or that you want to invest in, and call the listing agents. If it's been on for a while, introduce yourself, and yeah, I think us just start underwriting and see, hey, what could you buy for where it makes sense, where it's going to make money, where it's going to cash flow at today's interest rates, and and start looking at getting ready to start making offers after you underwrite these deals. And so that's where I would start, with like looking at everything that's on the market, call those agents, introduce yourself, because if they got a couple small multifamily, they may have more coming that may be off market. So it may be opportunity in the future. But that's where I would start at, with
Okay.
those listing agents, and it give you opportunity to start underwriting deals in that market.
Okay.
you'll have to hit the numbers. So I've noticed, at least here in Tampa, most of realtors, they only almost exclusively work on single family homes. It's a very small fraction of realtors who actually do multifamily or even come up with those kind of, those properties. I've talked to at least 20 realtors here in the last couple months, and there's not a whole lot of them, just put it that way. So you're gonna have to put into work with having lots of conversations, at least here in Tampa. I don't know how it is in your market, but here it doesn't seem like a lot of folks come up with multifamily deals.
Noticing that too.
uh, uh,
Yeah, and I think with that, that's a great point. And because a lot of times you can look at the different strategies as well too. Like Dr. Joe said, they got a group there that does the group homes where they get paid by the bid, and where you're looking at now, it's more so away from the traditional investment where you're looking at a pure 4 unit with 4 individual metered units, and being able to get 4 separate leases and 4 separate rent payments. That now, with where the pricing is, and like you said, the lack of deal flow, now depending on if you're doing this full time, that you may look at opportunities where you're looking at a home and you're coming in it from a different vantage point, where you're looking at a huge rancher that has 4 large bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, where now it's like, okay, maybe I turn this into a group home situation. And now you're going from investment to, maybe a business aspect of it, to focus in or to build around the real estate. Just whereas that now, you see some people that, I can't find a 4 unit in my market, but I'm gonna buy a huge four bedroom home, and I'm gonna lease out the individual bedrooms. I know, I have a client up here in the DC area that DK, he rents out multiple bedrooms and just remodeled his basement where it's a complete kind of studio unit, large square foot basement that he leases out separate. So it just depends on how you look at it, how creative you want to be with the real estate, where traditionally it's been, 1 unit rented, cash flow 1%. But now a lot of times, depending on your living situation, you can look at different business models that you can use with real estate, that whereas it amplifies the traditional cash flow methods, and now it makes it make sense. Airbnb is a great one to look at, just with people they just started leasing out the units versus a 12-month long-term lease, or mid-term rentals. There's just different ways that you can look at it, but some of them have pros and cons. They have more, you're going to be more hands-on in some of those business models than others. So you just got to figure out what's the right move for you, the time commitment, and the resources, the capital that's going to be needed up front to make it happen. Just where you can, be realistic and have a sound business plan on what you're doing. So, but yeah, it could be tough, with finding the deals. But the thing is, a lot of people stop. A lot of people's on the sidelines that aren't putting in the work. And I'm a true believer in testimony. You only need one deal. You only need one great deal that can change your life. And if you take care of that one deal, focus on adding value to that one deal, paying it off, building the cash flow and taking care of it long term, you're going to be fine. That so I think, the opportunity. I was listening to, I think it was Ken McElroy earlier this week. He was saying in San Antonio, he was talking with a broker, had 9 deals where the bank took the keys back. And he was looking at 1 or 2 of them, and he said for right now he's passing on what they wanted for, but there's opportunity coming. So I want to encourage everybody. It's like, yeah, transactions historical lows, but okay, 4.5 million transactions. That's 4.5 million sales that's happening. And we know baby boomers, a lot of them, they don't like to use realtors. Like, there's transactions still happening. And in the commercial multifamily space, there's a lot of pain that's been happening kind of below the surface. And there's foreclosures. I had my lender, I was talking a couple of weeks ago, they foreclosed on a home in Mobile, and they know I buy across Alabama, and they offered to me. I don't think I'm gonna take the offer just because the house needs some work, and the price point that they have it at I think they need to probably take 20, 30,000 off of it, unfortunately. But they're trying to get it for the loan amount that they had, but all the equity was wiped out for, the previous homeowner. Um, so the same thing is happening on the commercial side with multifamily, that the banks are taking back the keys. And so that 20, 30% down payment, that has been wiped out completely. That appreciation or that equity has been dropped down. And so now the banks are looking to sell some of these assets for the loan value, or maybe even take a haircut and sell it for less than what their bank note is on it, because the banks aren't in position to manage these assets. And so they're looking for sound operators that they have relationship with, that brokers that they know that's doing deals in the markets that the properties are at, to get them done. So I think, being able to get out here and to get your name out there, talking with brokers, seeing what's happening in the market, where you can see some of these opportunities, is going to be a game changer for you. I guarantee you. Just where we are right now with so many baby boomers retiring, stop being landlords, there's going to be trillions of dollars that's going to change hands over the next couple of decades, where they pass it off to the next generation. So uh, it's all about, do you want to have some of those transactions on your build, on your portfolio, some of those, whether single family houses, smaller multifamilies. You just got to make that decision and kind of figure out how do you want to get in the game and just start going, because there's going to be more work on the front end before you start seeing some of the success. But that's where the wealth is built, in those moments, and the underwriting, the going through, the dozens of deals that you have to review and underwrite and submit offers before you get that one that shakes out. And so just be encouraged that it's part of the process. But the thing is finding clarity for you and that strategy for yourself, and start moving one step at a time.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, most definitely, man. And that's for you, that's for me, that's for everybody. Just going, because it's a daily journey, a daily battle, to make sure you're doing the right things that's gonna move it forward, move the business forward for you. So yeah, but just know it's not in vain. What's going on, Tucker? Welcome, welcome. You still in Columbia, man?
Oh yeah, we're walking back.
I saw one of
I'll
your
show
I
you
saw one
guys
of your
the.
posts this morning.
Yeah, I can show the mill in a second. Super super stoked. Little backstory: I've been starting a coffee mill with this two of my best friends right here from growing up, Eric and JT. Um, but I'm a captain in the Marine Corps. So it's been an uphill battle managing deployments, and doing business down here. But we we've done a good amount of weight this year as far as moving coffee to some different distributors, and right in the middle of raising capital to sort of update our infrastructure to really, really maximize our output. But it's like what he was saying before, right when I hopped on. Like, all you do is get kicked in the nuts until you don't, and you don't know when that's going to stop. Sure hasn't got stopped for me. But at some point, you start to see successes, you start to see a path. And, as long as that path doesn't involve me wearing a suit and a tie instead of a cubicle, I'm good with it.
No, awesome,
Leslie
man. I
said, "Can you
appreciate I
explain that to
appreciate
her?"
huh?
I said, "Leslie said, can you explain that to her?"
I get it.
No, I appreciate you jumping on, Tucker. No, Tucker he's crushing it. He's in Colombia right now, starting his own coffee business. Like you said, raising capital. We're talking about raising capital for real estate deals. He's raising capital for his business, coffee business. And still active duty in the Marines, like just gotta get it. And I think there's audacity, audacity, audacity. Just get after it. And I think that's why a lot of times we talk about the mindset and the why. Like, for us as military members and veterans, like, we see it on the military, the mission side of it, operations. It's like, okay, I can apply this skill set and approach to life and building legacy, building wealth, or whatever asset class or business that I want to start. But you just do it. And I think That's awesome to see, especially where he's grounded as a young man, as a captain. I love it. That's how it starts. Cool, man. Thank you for joining us. I know in the middle of your busy day, that's always good to see somebody out in the field. I'm a little jealous. I'm sitting here in the house, but it's nothing like being outside and actually at the asset and seeing the business. Oh, okay. I'm in the coffee field.
I thought he was in Columbia, Maryland first. He's in Columbia, South
Yeah,
America.
no, he's in the Columbia.
You're muted, Tucker.
We can't hear you. You're muted. We can see you.
I was gonna say, so those are the mature, the planters are over there. They're planting the new trees. These are what the trees look like when they're mature. And then if you can see the red ones, those are the ripe ones. The green ones aren't ripe. We just ended the Mitaka, which is the spring harvest. And then at the end, that's the mill that we bought. And so essentially what we do is we act as a grain combine, right? For anybody who knows anything about farming, you gotta harvest and process the crop to make it exportable and to make it like a finished food product. That's what we do down there. That's what my two buddies at the end of the street are doing. I'm very fortunate to have friends from growing up who sacrificed their income to help me start this thing. Um, and the Apex process to get Oconus leave wasn't super easy. I
I know.
did my last webinar like low key during PT on the flight deck of a L class ship. And so I figured I'd do this one down here
Wow.
at the point of friction. But anyways, I don't want to take the whole mic. I just figured I'd hop on because it sits on my calendar, and on the West Coast it's 5 a.m. It's a little tough to make it to a Zoom call, but no, happy to do it. And I love what you're doing, man.
No, I appreciate it, brother. So real quick, 1 minute spiel. So why coffee? That you share
So
with what you share with investors.
outside of water, it's the most available drink in the world, and that's like an intuitive thing. Like think about where can't you get a coffee? Like what restaurant? Not many. Um, I love it personally, and then there's there's a whole infrastructure behind it. Agriculture and farming has been my favorite thing since growing up. But if you look across the United States, farms are not profitable outside of federal subsidies. So 90% of farmers in the United States that aren't a part of some major cohort aren't profitable at all. In fact, they lose money on purpose.
Mm.
They get bought out by private equity. Private equity uses them as a write off slash tries to optimize them by taking out a whole bunch of quality control metrics along the way, just so that they just meet the USDA food and beverage standards. What we did in coming down here through a Marine that I met when I was stationed up in Quantico is we built a mill in a region of Colombia that didn't already have a good functioning mill. And then we're just bringing American supply chain and business practices and introducing these people to calendars and different types of project management and organizations. Essentially came down here to Colombia and turned what has always been a handshake paper business into like a well-oiled systemized machine. A lot of these guys, like they'd never seen a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet before. That little hut over there is where I've been
Hmm.
working out of. So like it's open air. I'm sitting out there last night, like swatting mosquitoes while I'm sending invites to our webinar. Like this is the field. But for me, this is just it's so fun. Like the impact that I've made on these people's lives, most of them hadn't made a livable wage in decades, and they were fighting for
Wow.
scraps. The food grows on the trees here, right? Like we've got a tangerine tree right here. This is a mango tree. So the people can live off the land. One of the things that I learned when I was deployed to the Philippines is that most of the poor people, they go out into the forest. It's opposite of the United States where you see homeless people congregating in the streets. They go out into the forest because they can forage and survive. And they'll have a
Mm.
job in town. They'll be a valet or something, and they'll make enough for like spending cash, but they eat off the land. Um, we have a whole bunch of single mothers that work for us that sort each individual bean that we have for a quality control metric. And most of them said that they hadn't worked in 10 years. They've been living off their husbands because nobody will hire them because they got to take care of their kids. So it's like this to me is a mission trip type thing. It's a missional project, but it also has a huge added benefit of like coffee is pretty profitable. It's pretty good, and people are willing to pay a premium for quality stuff. So that's my spiel. It was a little longer than a minute, and I do apologize for that. But
No, you're good. You're good, man. You're right on cue. No, I appreciate it, man. I think this is definitely motivational for everybody, including myself. And salute to you. And yeah, look forward to connecting here in the future soon, man. And whatever we can do. And let me know. Shoot me the pitch deck too. Okay.
do I have your email?
I'll shoot it to you on LinkedIn
Hell yeah,
just to
brother.
make
I'll
sure.
shoot it to you.
All right. Take care. Well, awesome. As we're almost at the top of the hour, and I know I have a 9 o'clock. No, this has been great. No, salute to Tucker. He's out down in Colombia making it happen. And yeah, any other closing comments?
I wonder how his Spanish is. How's your Spanish, Tucker?
Un poco, un
Un
poco.
poquito.
That's what I got. I got those guys for. Yeah, I'm the fun guy. Uh, the gringo with cash. Everybody who does this like day to day, their Spanish is far better than mine. It outpaces mine. It does embarrass me a little bit, but I don't have a lot of opportunities to practice outside of when I'm here. But it will get better over time.
Yeah, just practice
For
with the
sure.
locals. Yeah, exactly.
They picked me to be on their soccer team, so I got a soccer game tonight. So we'll see. I gotta prove my worth, and maybe they'll teach me. It's like a rite of
Nice.
passage.
No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome, brother. Well, cool. Until next week, everybody. This has been a great $1 million coffee hour discussion from real estate, commercial real estate, sub to coffee businesses in Colombia. I love it. But that's what it's all about, building equity, building wealth, one deal at a time, one day at a time. So hey, let's go. Let's make some equity happen together. You guys be blessed. Be safe down there, Tucker. And we'll see everyone next week.